To begin our reverse painting self-portrait, we're going to need to trace our self-portrait first. So I have this piece of transparency film, and I'm going to line it up perfectly with my photograph and just put 2 pieces of tape along the top so it holds it in place. You only need it along the top because you want to be able to grab that bottom and flip it up and check as you work. Once you have your transparency in place, you can grab your thin Sharpie and begin tracing over your details of your face. I would suggest probably starting around the eye, but that's up to you where you want to get started. You want to just focus on the largest details. If you have a highlight in your eye, you could do that, but you want nice, thin, light lines. You don't want these to be too thick. So if you see any lines in your face, so like your eyelid, or if you have a line under your eye or next to your eye, you can get that. But we don't want to focus on too many tiny details. We just want the nice big ones. I'm going to trace out my eyebrow and my eyelashes, but that is up to you as far as your eyelashes are concerned. And eyebrows can be tricky because they're not always one solid shape in real life, but when we're outlining like this, it is a lot easier just to outline as one shape. We don't want to draw each individual hair. We're just outlining things as one shape. Places like your nose can be tricky too because it's not a real line, it's more of a shadow that makes up the line of your nose. So just do one nice tracing over where your line starts for the top of your nose up near your eyebrow and bring it down around your nose. And then we will trace your nostrils and where the bottom of your nose sits. Make sure we're not coloring any part of this in. We don't need a solid black nostril. We just want to trace around the edges. When you get to your mouth, you're only going to be outlining your lips and if you have any creases or smile lines on each side of your face. We do not want to outline each individual tooth because it makes it look a little bit silly. So we're just outlining your lips and any lines around your mouth. As you're working, you can lift your transparency away from your self-portrait to check your lines and make sure everything looks okay. And if it does, you can just put it back where it goes and keep on working. I'm just going to outline my whole face really carefully. And then once you get to your hair, we're only going to be outlining your hair as a shape, the same way we did with your eyebrows. We're not coloring this in with your Sharpie and we're not drawing individual hairs. We're just going to make your hair a shape as best as you can. Mine was a little tricky because it was all over my shoulder and it got kind of everywhere, so I was really just trying to focus on making one big shape out of my hair. I did put some details just to show that it was hair, but we're not going to be drawing each individual hair and we're not going to be coloring anything in. Remember that as you're working, you can check to make sure everything is where you need it to be and then flip it back so you can continue your work. If you have any details on your shirt, like I have my stripes, if you have words or anything, it's up to you what you'd like to do. I'm choosing to not trace over my detailed lines in my shirt, but if you want to do that, you can. When we move on to paint, you're going to be able to make your clothes look any way you want, and if you want to replicate the clothes that you have on in your picture, you can do that, but if you want to make them totally different, then that's okay too. If you have any additional details, like I'm wearing my earring, I'm going to trace that, but you can pretend like it's not there for your artwork, or you can trace over it the way that I'm doing. Make sure you're checking your work as you go and make sure that you like it and you like the way that it's turned out. And if you don't, you can flip it back forward and continue working until you have a finished product. Once your outline is complete, then you are all ready for paint.